What's up, guys? Hope you're all having a good day. Welcome back to my channel. We're gonna check out this video about a new game called Wuchang, Fallen Feather. We're gonna check out the review on IGN. Please go to IGN, subscribe to their channel, show them lots of love, let them know I sent you there, and yeah, keep it locked on IGN. They do a lot of good work. All right, let's just do the review. Let's go.
Between the fantastic The First Berserker Kazan earlier in the year, the excellent Lies of P Overture DLC last month, and the multiplayer co-op focused Elden Ring Night Rain, we have been eating well in 2025, and you can add Wuchang Fallen Feathers as yet another course in that meal. This debut game from developer Leenzee Games impressed me from the start with its exciting, fast-paced, and dynamic combat. It also has one of the best skill trees in the genre, along with intricate and interconnected level design that guides us through gorgeous vistas and grotesque sights in equal measure. That said, its difficulty is all over the place, with truly wild dips and spikes that go from a relative walk in the park to, oh my god, when is it my turn to attack levels of aggression in some of its later bosses. So while I'm left with a little bit of whiplash after beating it, it's still an easy and strong recommendation for anyone who's hungry for more.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this game like the Souls games? It looks like it. I personally don't mind the Souls game, but I know there's a few people online I see complaining about, oh, it's too hard, it's too difficult. It's too hard, it's too difficult. I don't like that. You know, not everybody likes these games.
In typical Souls-like fashion, Wuchang expects you to do the heavy lifting when it comes to piecing together its story and lore, but it's not handled quite as elegantly as a FromSoft game or something like Lies of P. I was actually on board for the intriguing opening, which shows our titular, mostly silent hero awaken in a cave to discover that she has a disease that robs those afflicted of their memories and gradually turns them into hideous monsters. What starts as a personal journey to discover who she is and cure her affliction before she mutates into a nasty bird beast turns into a descent into dark fantasy as the mysteries of the disease, known as the feathering, start to come to light and you do battle with those transfigured by its effects. That was a good start, but by the end of its 45-hour campaign, I'd lost track of the many characters that pop up, say a few lines of dialogue, and then disappear for 10 or so hours until they pop up again in a completely new location. People kept on referencing names I had never heard of before, making it really hard for me to follow the conversation. Lore fiends who enjoy digging into weapon and item descriptions for clues might get more out of the story than I did, but playing through it the same way I have many other games meant its big revelations largely fell flat.
Keep in mind that I shall hound you to the very gates of hell if you disrupt my plans.
Combat, though, had the flexibility and depth to carry me through to the end in style, with a ton of different offensive and defensive options at my disposal at all times. Where Wuchang sets itself apart from others that use the familiar style of stamina-fueled light and heavy attacks to get you from checkpoint to checkpoint is its huge focus on combining the skills and abilities that are tied to your weapons with discipline skills you unlock on the absolutely massive skill tree. For instance, equipping the sword.
So far, I haven't seen anything that I haven't seen already. Like there's Sekiro that does this, the Onimusha games, you know, Wukong. I'm still excited about the game. I still want to play it, but I'm looking for something new. I think game developers over there in China, they have to be careful not to make each game look the same, you know? A lot of these games they're starting to look like the same. Like the same thing over and over again, just with a different protagonist. They have to watch out for that.
Parry discipline skill while using the Flamebringer longsword weapon will let you build up the burn status ailment with its infernal firebrand weapon skill, while also giving you a defensive counter option on top of that. Or you could pair that same weapon with something like Crescent Moon, which still gives you that same burn build-up ability, but also allows you to get in and then get out to avoid counterattacks altogether, while still being able to build Skybound Might with its built-in evade. You can swap between two weapons mid-fight, or even mid-combo, which doubles your options. And it's good that you have these extra options too, because this is not a game where you can get by with just the basics, especially when it comes to the tougher fights. Powering your skills and spells hinges on generating a resource known as Skyborn Might, which is gained mostly by perfectly dodging enemy attacks at the last instant, but can also be gained in certain weapon-specific ways, such as landing the fourth hit of a light combo string with the axe, the second hit of a light combo string with the longsword, clashing weapons with the dual blades, or automatically over time simply by having the one-handed sword equipped. I had a blast discovering ways to incorporate both weapon and discipline skills into combat to get around limitations like stamina, since you—
excuse me. I have to see that booty shot again. That was pretty good. Where is it? Let's go back a little bit. When she was running in the field.
the second hit of a light combo string with the longsword, clashing weapons with the dual blades, or automatically over time
look at
simply
that
by
booty.
having
Look at
the
that booty
one-handed
right
sword
there.
equipped. I had a blast discovering ways to incorporate both weapon and discipline skills into combat to get around limitations like stamina, since using a Skyborn Might charge often gives you a powerful attack that doesn't deplete your meter, or lets you blow through an enemy's strong defense with a poise break afflicting mist, and take huge chunks out of their health in seconds. I felt like I usually had more interesting decisions to make with each level up than I do in most Souls-likes when it came to defining my build. A big part of that is how instead of boosting your preferred stat and making numbers go up each time you get enough currency to level, Wuchang uses a progression system that resembles the sphere grid from Final Fantasy X and Salt and Sanctuary. It has 6 paths to go down and unlock progressively more powerful skills, with 5 of them being devoted to stat and weapon upgrades enhancing each of the different types of armaments, and the last one focusing more on universal boons, like extra healing charges, general buffs for executing certain techniques, etc. The grid is absolutely gigantic, and even 10 to 30 hours into the campaign, I was still unlocking brand new branches with new discipline skills and tons more upgrades to choose from. That's a lot, but thankfully, respecs are free, allowing you the freedom to change up your entire build with zero cost or penalty, whether to simply try out a new weapon or alter your game plan against a challenging boss. It's an excellent system that encourages experimentation while also rewarding you for having a clear idea of what kind of build you want to make. There's a fairly impressive amount of different types of enemies as well, with each area you visit packing plenty of new twisted creatures with brand new sets of attacks and skills that you'll need to learn how to adjust your build and your tactics to deal with. Everything in this game can be threatening, from the small hunchback dudes that go down in just 1 or 2 hits, but can sneak up on you with a hugely damaging grab, to the towering fiends that are almost like mini-bosses into themselves. This variety kept the action fresh throughout the whole adventure and kept me tense whenever I would venture into a new area, since I never knew what to expect around the corner.
Oh, come on, bro. We don't need this.
For the first 10 or so hours though, I didn't have to do a ton of build tweaking to breeze through most of these fights. That wasn't to say it was a walk in the park, but I've played a lot of Souls-likes in my day, and once I got the hang of dodging through the last hit of an enemy combo and charging up a heavy attack to instantly stagger them, I initially felt like I had figured Wuchang out. The deaths that I did experience mostly came from an abundance of cheap feeling gotcha moments. And if you don't want some minor enemy jump scares spoiled for you, please skip the next 30-ish or so seconds of this video, starting now. Like,
I'm good.
aren't really pots.
I'm good, it's alright. Let's see it.
Trees that aren't really trees. And shrines that aren't really shrines. To be fair, lots of Souls-likes have moments like these, but in Wuchang, it happens with such frequency that it felt like I was constantly getting pranked by the developers, and at a certain point that joke gets old. Other than that, it was mostly smooth sailing until I came across a boss called Commander Honglan. She wasn't so much of a difficulty spike because that implies some degree of an incline or ramp up, as she was like running into a brick wall. She took me about 2 hours to beat, and while I still came out on the other side of that fight having mostly enjoyed the intensity of it, Honglan serves as a non-spoilery encapsulation of what I don't like about several of Wuchang's later boss fights. The biggest issue is that the punishment window for correctly and precisely dodging most of their attacks is super tight, which takes away from the satisfaction of actually being able to dodge a huge sequence of swings. Like, if you watch this clip, I am on defense for a full 30 seconds before I'm able to punish this boss. Granted, I missed one opportunity, but it just goes to show how fleeting these opportunities can be. Compare that to games like Sekiro or Kazan, where you're damaging the boss's posture bar every time you precisely block an attack, getting closer to being able to do a damaging critical hit once you completely drain it. There's no such satisfying mid-fight progress here, because perfect dodges just give you Skyborn Might charges, which you still need to find an opening to be able to use. Wuchang does have a posture meter on enemies, but it only increases when you land hits and decreases after a time if you don't, which makes it extremely difficult to get that reward for nuanced aggression when your opportunities to deal damage are so minimal. Not every boss fight after Honglan is like this, but the ones that are feel very drawn out to a degree that diminishes their fun. The world all these ups and downs take place in is rich with secrets to discover, interconnected paths that satisfyingly link entire sections of the map together, and tough optional challenges with appropriate rewards. I love the gradual descent into dark fantasy. You begin in a very colorful and beautiful Chinese village that is just showing subtle signs of the terrible illness sweeping through its population, and then as you progress deeper underground and through areas that have been absolutely ravaged by the feathering, it starts to feel more and more like a horror game. There are also some cleverly put together sequences that create tension and chaos even without combat being involved. One example is this section where you start on a straightaway with an enemy at the end who builds up an instant killing status affliction called Despair just by looking at you. To evade his gaze and get through, I had to make a mad dash past a bunch of enemies, climb up a ramp while avoiding poisonous drops from the ceiling, and navigate around constantly spawning tough monsters that were created by another out-of-reach foe. It's a great example of strong enemy design meshing with clever level design to create an absolutely intense sprint through a dangerous environment. With its fast-paced, dynamic, and flexible combat, and a best-in-class skill tree that allows for a ton of build experimentation and customization, Wuchang is an extremely respectable debut Souls-like for developer Leenzee Games. Some of the later bosses feel frustratingly lacking in chances to capitalize on opportunities for damage, and I would have enjoyed fewer surprise, you're dead kind of moments, but while those feather-ruffling issues lead to some rough patches, none are abrasive enough to keep this innovative take on a hugely popular genre from soaring with some of the greats.
Over 350,000 small businesses trust Zensurance. Zensurance provides low-cost business insurance for hundreds.
You'll just find yourself, you'll like get tired of it sooner than later because you've done it all before. And yeah, we just need more creativity though. I'm definitely gonna get this game. I'm definitely gonna try it out. But I don't see anything new yet. Like we've been here already. I'll just watch a little bit more of this and then I'll stop the video. Let's go.
Souls-likes for us, reviewed Elden Ring Night Rain, also games like Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade, all over the action space. So let's talk about, we had you on to talk about Night Rain, but we were talking more about the multiplayer side of things when we did that conversation. So let's talk about your favorite Souls-likes. Let's talk about what you look for in the genre. What do you like about it? What are some of your favorites? What do you prioritize in that space in terms of what you enjoy?
Sure, I mean, this is a genre that I love just completely. Like, my favorite one, I would probably have to go back to Dark Souls 1 just because it has such like a special connection to my life. That was when I first started, getting into the industry. I worked for a YouTube channel called Gamefront. We did Let's Plays, walkthroughs of Dark Souls, and it was just one of the experiences of my life that I hold like dearest to my heart. Beyond that, I love pretty much all the FromSoft Souls-likes, or Souls games rather. Outside the FromSoft sphere, I like Nioh, the recently released this year actually, Kazan, which I touch upon in the review also. In terms of like what I look for in a Souls-like, Kazan really kind of exemplifies it. I really love the combat, and I love, the kind of the world exploration, finding hidden secrets, going through an optional path, facing off against a really challenging optional boss, and getting something cool out of it. And Wuchang definitely touches upon that too.
One of the other things you talked about in your review was this idea of difficulty spikes, and difficulty is always a conversation around Souls-likes, whether, too hard, too easy, difficulty settings, all of that. I want to talk about spikes specifically because you're no stranger to difficulty, or you're not afraid of that sort of stuff. You were one of the very few reviewers, I think, who beat Elden Ring by the review embargo, which was a Herculean task. You also you did Shadow of the Erdtree, which is a very hard DLC as well. But in this game specifically, there's moments where it jumps up very unexpectedly in difficulty. Right. And I want to talk about specifically coming from the reviewing side of things. How does it feel? How do you push through? Or is it frustrating when you're playing a game that you're otherwise handling fine, and then a boss sort of just comes along, or some challenge comes along that says, no, you're just going to be on this for a few hours all of a sudden? Obviously, that's not ideal for anybody, but how does it factor into the process?
I mean, it's tough. It depends on how much lead time we have with the game, and fortunately for this one, we did have a good amount of lead time. It can be...
Alright guys, I'm gonna stop it here. If you want to watch the rest of the video, you can just go to IGN and check it out. But as for me, I'm going to stop here. And it looks like a pretty good game. I'm gonna definitely check it out. And who knows, I might actually have some fun with it. And maybe you'll have fun with it too. But I'll be keeping my eye out for anything else that's going on in the gaming world. Until then, see you next time. Peace.